Alright, so I'm gonna pop open my Discord voice chat now here. If everybody wants to hop in there, so we can have a chat. We'll do this in the Time for War voice chat.
Heyo.
Hey
Hi.
there! Oh, a lot of people are low here. Hang on. Turn the game audio down.
I'm trying to climb Mount Mahinapali before the server goes down.
You did do that
Gotcha.
sooner?
Yeah, GM was also, or GM Custom was also in the same block, so I got him over to block 39 as well, or 49 as well.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, it's such a shame that happened towards the end there. And it's also really weird that there's no blacklist in this version of the
Yeah.
game, apparently.
That's odd.
Eh,
That's something
I
that
can
needs to
actually-
be added in.
I think I can explain that. It's mostly that I don't think they... Because they were designing this version to work with the Xbox Live system, they didn't have
Mm.
gotten all the features in properly. So,
I noticed that the friends list bugs out, and sometimes your friends will be online playing the game, but it doesn't show them actually online in the in-game friends list. But you can see them on the Xbox Live friends list playing. And I got in a chat with some of my friends that were playing, and I couldn't meet up with them through the menu system because it was displaying their online status wrong.
Yox TV is asking if anyone ever played Phantasy Star Universe. I have a feeling most of us have.
Yeah.
Alright, I made it to the peak. I'm just gonna stand here until the server disconnects.
And yeah, jokes, I've also done Phantasy Star Universe as well, or rather, I played through that. I've been playing through the series since back during the Genesis days, actually.
Yeah, and both of us currently play on Clementine.
So I guess the big question is, what did everybody think?
There are definitely things that they need to fix, but it's mostly a lot of it's server and matchmaking issues, and a lot of the other issues is just because we were basically crammed into 3 days worth of gameplay, and this is meant to be played over a longer period of time. Basically,
I'll-
oh, sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
It's just like basically the leveling, trying to cram that much leveling into like into that amount of time is, yeah, that's not exactly the most fun thing to do, especially with what we're looking at is probably not the final line of enemies we're going to see. I'm almost certain we're not even seeing half the content that Sega has planned with how this is set up. Because if it launches as it does right now, we're looking at a Phantasy Star Universe situation again. People are going to get... Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I would also say we're probably going to see level 30 or level 40 as the level cap. We'll probably have access to the entire Alio area and maybe part of the desert, I'm guessing.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've
I don't know,
seen
I
it in
feel
the
like-
Go
I
ahead.
feel like the tundra area is going to be the next one because the gateway to the tundra is right next to the urgent quest boss. And there's that blue barrier around the tundra, which I think might be something that will come down after defeating the urgent quest boss in the full game.
Possibly. There is the blue barrier also there in the gap between Alio and the desert area too, though.
Hmm. I'm really
Yeah, it's
excited
just there's an urgent quest boss right next to the barrier for the tundra. So that's why I was thinking it might progressing that way.
Could be.
and I'm really excited once the full game's out next month to just see how far it can go, just explore.
That brings up kind of an interesting thought, though. I mean, is it possible that areas are just going to be time gated then, and that you have to be online to participate in an urgent quest to open an area? That would seem to be an even worse thing than what we had with the urgent quests in PSO2.
I hope it's just gated to where it'll be opened up during story progression or through.
Well, then there's
other-
also the forest area that we've seen gameplay of, but it's locked in the beta. It looked
Right.
like they kind of highlighted how it was heading towards the volcano there, so we might have progression going through the forest to get to the volcano as the first step of progression.
Possibly.
Although, I don't know, the volcano, based on what we've seen in certain other information, it looks like there's no town area there, so that might be like the game area for this continent. But then again, there's going on the classic PSO progression path. It goes forest, then volcano caves,
Mhm.
and then and then mines, and then ruins.
So, what would you consider to be the mines then? The snowy
Desert.
area or the desert? Okay.
The desert, because it's comparable to Lilliput, which had mines, and
True.
in old PSO2, the Lilliput was basically the mines equivalent, while the dragon planet Amduscia was like the caves. So I'm thinking it might go forest, volcano, desert, then tundra.
Yep, I guess we'll see. Plus, there's of course the ever-present subspace vehicle platform up in the sky there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm curious about that.
And we also don't know if there's going to be a subterranean thing going on, where you go deeper into the planet or not.
Well, the artificial structures we're seeing popping out in the ground, that might actually end up being the mines. Going down into the ground might actually end up being the mines of this game.
Possibly.
Well, in South Alio, we have this. There's that really big cave, and it's got a big round room in the bottom of it that isn't apparently used for anything right now. But the way it's shaped makes me think it's a boss area, and it even has like a circle of lights around the edge of the room, like it's going to be a stage for something.
Have you make it up to the top of that place?
Well, it's underground. Oh, are you talking about to the roof of the cave?
Yeah, to the roof of the cave.
I never could figure out how to get up there. There's definitely like, it looked like there's supportive beams along the ceiling, but I really couldn't find a way to jump up to them.
Okay, where did I post it? Okay, look up in Time for War. Until you see my character there.
You got there?
Yes.
Was there boxes or anything up there, or is it
Absolutely nothing. I don't think they were planning on anyone being up there.
Yeah, I could never figure out how to get up there. I was trying all kinds of wall jumps.
Wait, where was this again?
You know that big tunnel in the waterfall area?
And
Yeah.
off.
There's a giant cave. Okay, we're disconnected. You know what? We can run around while the server's disconnected. I wonder what if we can break through a load zone.
Over.
I guess we can
What
try.
happens?
Nope. Obviously, I'm not seeing any of you moving, but that is a funny feature that you can just run around like this.
Mm-hmm.
I can't initiate super speed though, so I'm at a
Right.
It still says I'm on, even though I didn't even know you could run around what goes offline like this. So
okay. I'm gonna try to walk towards the desert.
I'll try the snowy area, I guess. If I can even find the thing.
I'm heading towards Vamford Research Facility or whatever it's called. Which I think the only reason we know the name of that place is of data mine stuff.
I think you're
I
right,
don't
yeah.
think it showed up.
you can't use your photon dash.
And you can't
No, because-
you can't move your camera.
I can move my camera. I'm on control pad.
Oh! 1 second then.
Oh yeah, you're just running out, huh?
I just can't initiate the dash or jump. So I have to be careful not to fall where
Yeah.
I can't climb back up. Oh! Load zones don't cause you to change instances.
Nope.
Yep, that's for certain.
'Cause-
Yeah.
I just walked into the city while I'm in the field still, technically.
Yeah, it is working for me here, so...
Oh my.
I wonder if
And
we can
GM's
glitch into some
finding that
place.
out as well. He's just out.
I've just got to walk a long ass time to get to the desert, but I might be able to cross the bridge because I'm not in the zone where the walls would have loaded up. So I
This is
might
gonna take a while.
not
I'll be right
have
back.
invisible walls.
I'm actually getting pretty close, I think. I should try the forest over here first, actually.
Don't fall in the river.
Right. Oh, that one's there.
Chat, he's a real GM.
Doing some offline exploration.
I'll see what's across that
Dang,
bridge.
I could have
don't-
done this all day. I could have actually just unplugged my internet and tried to wall break.
And I can't
Oh,
get
no.
through here either. Ah. Oh well.
Must be hard. Okay.
Okay, I'm approaching Vamford. Let's see what happens when I get up here.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
There you are, Radix.
Doing
Wait.
okay.
Radix,
Sorry,
right?
I had to take some screenshots before we finished up.
Okay.
We're trying to break through some walls while the server's offline.
Oh, okay. You're trying to figure out all the secrets. I see.
I was almost certain we were going to get extension just because of how the awkward timing of that last emergency quest.
Okay, Vamford still loads its invisible wall, but that's because I'm in a zone that it's thick. So it might have preloaded that.
Yeah, I was in the city and I walked all the way through central area to where the snowy area was, and there was still a wall there.
On the bridge?
Yeah,
Okay.
so they might have fixed that.
Oh yeah. Now that we're done with this closed beta test, we can delete it. Since
The thing is, I've been looking for a way to delete and reset the install all week, just in case I did something wrong and was installed, and there's no delete option I can see.
I still think we have to install the Windows. Don't we have to install the Windows 10, or can we use the Xbox for the rewards? Because I know they have the similar thing with the Game Pass perks, where you have to log into the Microsoft. You have to log into Xbox Live.
yeah, but
To,
the closed beta test one, that is a separate thing. Like the closed beta client is separate from the main client that's going to be used.
And
So I'll be able to use that in Steam, hopefully.
In theory, it should just flag your. It should just be flat. They should just flag your account, and that should transfer.
Okay. And I also did a survey
in
under
order
my
to
Steam account.
uninstall Microsoft Store account or like things, you need to go into your system settings, go to apps, and then find that app and uninstall it.
Yeah, you mean add remove? I tried that already. This thing is in there tight.
Well, it just uninstalled for me.
Okay, let me try it. Maybe they released the hold on. Maybe they released something on it.
System and what else?
Okay,
Where
you
is
need
it
to
at?
go to your settings, go to apps, and then scroll down until you find the
Apps.
closed beta test, and you can uninstall.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, it's uninstalling now. Then let me
Let
do
me see if
that
I can bring
before.
Discord onto the screen.
Now I'm just doing a full barrier walk.
So yeah, initial thoughts on the closed beta test.
It was a great experience overall. I enjoyed I think the most enjoyable part of it was starting, but as soon as you get into the repeatable stuff, it gets kind of mundane. And there's just not a lot to do in the beta, so I understand, just because we don't have all the areas, that we're not going to have enough to do. So kind of understand that.
I like that there's slow-paced advancement, actually. Cause in the other PSO2, the older one, I felt like they were rocketing you towards the end game, and then eventually you would run out of stuff to do. Really quick.
Yeah, I'm liking the slower progression overall as well, because it felt really good getting to level 15.
Yeah, I think it feels a lot more like classic PSO with the progression pace.
I'd say that there's probably going to be a battle zone that opens up, though, aside from Mount Magnus, or maybe they'll fix the level scaling a little bit around that.
Hopefully.
It looked like in the preview gameplay of the forest that we saw a video of, it looked like that's a battle zone similar to Max.
You know what's odd to me? With the room system they had going on there, couldn't they just have introduced difficulty levels or have specific rooms for specific level players?
I
That's
don't know
something
if
to
it.
consider. Actually, I was thinking maybe they eventually would add like a hard mode version of the world where enemies are a bit tougher and the levels scale a little bit higher.
I did notice that on the rooms menu it mentioned passworded rooms in the filters, where you could filter out rooms that are passworded. But I couldn't figure out how to make a passworded room. But apparently that's going to be a thing where you can make an entire room passworded.
It would
That
keep
would definitely
people
help.
out. Yeah, especially when you're trying to do a photo shoot.
Or if you're trying to play around with the tame enemies and you don't want other players coming over and slaughtering them all.
Or if you're just trying to get, trying to hunt down gigantics.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Imagine having like level 10s and 11s coming in to North Alio and you not being able to get a kill because like half your group's, that level range.
Yeah, I'm doing the survey right now here.
While walking around, you can find where all the other players used to be because their mags are still floating.
So is that what
Yeah.
it is? Like people who disconnected or logged off, they leave their shells behind with their mags?
Yes. Yeah, and I've noticed that, like, a lot of times, like, in town, you can't see people's mags that are outside your party. But when they disconnect, you can.
Replaced by a generic model, of course.
Yeah. Generic model and a mag. Walking around the field here, I've just found mags without generic models where they're just a mag floating. No player model.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey there.
Hey, hey, Brightstar. Hey, guys.
Hey, what's up?
Any
I
weird glitches during the beta?
For me?
For anybody?
Yes, actually. I stumbled upon where an enemy has been killed, and they don't die right away. Their idle stance is just still there until it just slowly just poofs by itself. So
So-
that was
Are you sure that's
Okay,
not
so
attributed to lag
I
or is
was
it...
in a
nah.
two-person party, and one of my friends had teleported to South Aereo while I was in Central Aereo, and this is the other person in my party, teleported to South Aereo. When the teleport finished, they did not arrive at their destination, and instead they were dropped off inside the first step mission while they're still in my party, and I was not put into the cocoon with them. They completed the first step mission by themselves, and it returned them back out to the field as normal, and it was just the weirdest thing. They were in my party with me as leader, but they ran a cocoon mission without me, and yeah.
I had a situation where one of the Nogliths, the veteran Nogliths in North Aereo, he was hanging on one of the trees through most of the fight, and about a minute into the fight, he just got stuck on the tree, and he would not move for like 2 minutes, and we just wailed on him while he was stuck there.
Collision error then. Oh, that's not
Yep.
supposed to happen.
Is the I noticed that you could accept the mission to the urgent quest while you're in the swamp, and you don't actually have to be in the highlands.
Is that a glitch, or is that because it's all part of North Aereo?
Probably
think it's
try to
pro-
resolve. Sorry.
It's because it's all part of North Aereo. Plus, you know, you've got that countdown timer going whenever your weapon is sheathed. So as long as that prompt is showing up and you hold your button in, then it'll take you into it.
Yeah.
So one thing that I actually should have tried but never got around to, the multi-weapons. I never did that.
You can go through the multi-weapons?
Nope.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I just completely forgot to do that.
I did a multi-weapon with the last closed beta test. It was interesting, but what I found was that the Hunter's sword was more powerful than the Tekker wand, and so I basically just had a Tekker using a sword the whole time when I was testing that out.
Yeah, that's one of the complaints that I've made about Tekker is that its wands, it doesn't compete with the rest of the classes in terms of how much damage it can put out. And the main thing that you get for main classing Tekker is shift to D band, and then the resta. But the shift to D band lasts. It's so short. So to me, I'm like, is it really worth main classing Tekker just for shift to D band cast when I can subclass Tekker and get all the wand skills for any class that I want without maining Tekker? Yeah, and that's why in the survey I wrote a lot of complaints about Tekker along those lines, because I feel like Tekker needs something to make people want to main it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tekker, the way that
Tekker
Tekker
is
plays
kinda
now
like-
is honestly terrible.
Because Tekka's kind of like, hey, it's just basically just like a small support.
Mm-hmm.
For that's
Like-
really about it.
You're missing the draw-ins, you're missing the circular dark, like you're missing all of the mega spells, which is what you would use as a Tekker. You're missing the good, like the decent range of the wand smashing. Like I could barely hit anything when I tried to hit them with the wand.
I could tell that Tekker's advantage was the elemental things that it could do with its wand,
Mhm.
because it can hit
Yeah.
it can hit much faster, and it can really, like, it has a rapidity to it where it can it has a higher chance of inflicting statuses than a force casting text, because of how frequent it can hit with those statuses from the wand.
Right.
Yeah, but everything
But
else
the
about
thing
it just
is,
does
you
not
can play as
well.
another class with a Tekker on the sub and do that same thing. It's not a unique to main Tekker.
Unless you want to go full support and just keep using the shift the band skill,
Yeah,
that's kind of like the best way you do it. Like I said, I think they didn't want to showcase the light, dark, wind techniques just yet. Until either it's already until they release it,
Mhm.
or they're just gonna hold it off until they're gonna more content comes through, which I think would be a dumb idea. I think all elements should be available when the game comes out.
Yeah, because if you're
No.
missing the mega spells for attacker, they're going to suffer.
Yeah, well, I think it's just like dark, light, wind elements in
Oh,
general.
especially wind.
now this wasn't a problem in the beta because we're in the area region, but I think I have a feeling that when we get into other regions like the desert, we won't be able to find resta signs everywhere.
It'll probably
And-
maybe be scattered. Sure.
Yeah. I also noticed that the resta signs are also sold in the shop in town.
I went
And
looking
because-
there and I never saw them.
because of certain information from the game data that we found, there is towns in other regions. You're
Okay,
not
so they're
just
gonna be
stuck
other
with
hubs.
Central City.
Yep,
Yeah.
we know there's
So
one
I
out in the
think-
desert area. If you looked far into the distance, there's basically a hole in the ground there, and that's where one of them's going to end up.
Yeah, the desert city has a cemetery next to it as well. But I have a feeling that you won't be finding rest assigns much in the desert, and you might have to use the rest assigns, the shop rest assigns there. So that's why they're sold in shops, because some people were like, why are they selling rest assigns in the shop? It's useless.
just
It's everywhere. But they won't be everywhere as you progress in the game. But that's another thing, is I think that Tekker needs a skill to generate rest assigns, because if it's destined to be a support focus class,
Mm-hmm.
it
That takes
this
me
is
back,
something that I had a
actually.
problem with in the Great Wall quest. I ran Great Wall with me and one other person, and we were both Tekkers, and we both ran out of Resta before we reached the end of that mission, and it sucked. But that made me think, it's like, okay, if we're Tekkers and we're focused on support, what can we do about running out of Resta? And that makes me think that they've got to give us some skill or something to generate a emergency rest assign.
I
at
would
the
say
cost
wait until
of
the game actually comes out. I would say that.
reducing the like reduce max PP, like a PP convert type thing, but reduce max PP to generate a rest assign or something like that.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
You know, take one. You know, maybe I wouldn't say 1/3, maybe 1/5 of your max PP pool to generate a rest assign, but make sure it's main class only.
Yeah,
It would take me back to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, where you would have attacks that would spawn potions, and you'd pick those up. It's kind of similar to that, as far as support.
Right.
I mean, that's not the best example, but, you know, and it doesn't seem like it really makes sense, but I think the rest assigns definitely do make more sense. You can generate some.
yeah, and I just feel like there needs some allow charge for rest.
Come again?
We gotta have our equivalent of fluid class. So
You're kind of fading in and out there.
I was just saying, need to have something to recharge Resta with
Mm-hmm.
as a Tekker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
regarding the
Yeah, go ahead.
regarding the fire, ice, and Zond techniques being in and nothing else, that actually reminds me. I think it was similar like that in Phantasy Star Universe. Although I think they also had Gra level techniques as well for the Earth attacks. They just didn't have light and dark at the time.
Oh, you're talking about classic Phantasy Star?
Yeah, Phantasy Star Universe when that launched.
Yeah, so the ground attacks was Diga.
Diga, that's it. Thank you.
It's called
I
Gra
didn't
on
main
the ranged weapons.
techniques for a while there.
Yeah, it's called Gra on the range weapons, and I thought you were talking about Phantasy Star because there actually is a Gra series tech.
Yeah, that's actually Gravity. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sadly, Earth. I mean, it would make sense for the desert. You know, for the desert people, well, whoever we're gonna meet at the desert, to conduct, you know, Earth techniques. But, well, the Earth techniques are not even in the game at the right now. So, yeah.
We don't even know if
now
their
that
arcs
we
are over
can-
there.
Now that we can
That is indeed,
fly,
that is true. That is indeed true.
now that we can fly, maybe they can bring back gravity tech.
One thing that I did have a problem with Gunner, um, sometimes the damage output felt a bit too low. The build up to their photon blast was a lot slower compared to other classes, and the chain trigger sound effect way too loud.
As a gunner, I did play gunner as well. I'm gonna have to counteract with I didn't mind that much with the noise for the chain trigger, because there is this was a bug since the second closed beta for JP when I played it. Not all the time the chain trigger display shows up.
Oh,
Not all the time. Not all the time. Even if you're using TMG or you're using it with a multi-class, not all the time it shows up. It showed up for me. So hearing the noise was a good cue for me to tell me, oh, should I stop shooting or not? So that was an issue I stumbled upon, and I want them to fix it. It seems like they didn't fix it, or this beta was just an older build, similar to the Japanese closed beta. That's the.
I breaking my silence. I'm gonna go log off from West chat. I was talking all the time the channel. I'm going to sleep.
All right, take it easy.
take care.
Have a good
Take
night,
care.
Samuel.
So that was one thing. Another thing I had an issue with, Gunner, but I think this is more like a universal thing: animation cancellation. They need to loosen up. Yeah, sure, you're committed to the animation, which is fine. But at the same time, it's like, due to how crazy and how much you can animation cancel in base PSO2, I think it would be much more needed if you're gonna advance it further from PSO2 to New Genesis. Animation cancel would be much more appreciated.
Yeah, Sword has a problem like that as well, whereby I found that it was easier for me to just keep using my normal attack over and over, rather than trying to risk going into Photon Arts, and just by doing the normal attacks, I'd be out of the animation quicker to go into a guard if I needed to.
So it looks like the normal attack does more damage as well, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
I never got a chance to test the wand's parry counter skill. I tried it a few times. I could never pull it off.
Yeah,
Like, I
then
could
the
parry,
parry
but I
is
could
just
never
ridiculously.
counter.
It's like the parrying for both Rod and Rod needs work,
Yeah.
because they expect you to do it like right on. They expect you to do it like right on, and then not all the time the timing's gonna be right. At least have like a frame delay.
I found myself parrying attacks, melee attacks.
Okay.
So, question: after playing New Genesis, how hard is it going to be getting back into the rhythm for just attacks?
This is basically it's gonna be awkward again, just because this is the second time I'm going into a closed beta. This is gonna be really awkward.
Yeah.
Very, very awkward.
Yeah, it was like whenever I was initially playing, I started by instinct just doing it rhythmically because
Right.
of just effects. But then I had to remind myself,
I never
oh, yeah,
shook
there's
that.
no just effects.
I never shook that. This entire beta, I kept doing rhythmic button mashes, so I still play like I'm
Yeah,
doing
button
just
mashing
attacks.
was fine, but it gives my hand a much crazier workout than if I was just doing it, just attacks in base PSO2.
I wasn't doing the just attacks, but what I was doing was I was hitting a normal one time, just to check like if I had enough height on something, and then I would go into the photon art, rather than just opening up with a photon art.
I wish.
But yeah, I brought up the in the survey. I brought up the whole thing that hunters need a better gap closer. There's did any of you have an issue with closing gaps there with hunter?
Wand. So I made a wand sword multi-weapon. Wand has a good gap closer, and I was actually using that for sword strike. Like I would gap close with the wand skill and swap to do normal strike with the sword.
Gotcha.
For me, for gunner, there's a skill that gives you a dead approach as a skill embedded into your
Step
weapon
action.
action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just your
So-
neutral step action. You don't hold any direction. You just use that approach.
Yeah, but instincts got to me because in PSO2 you don't do that. That approach is its own PA. So sometimes, I would, let go of my directional input just to, just catch a break while I'm still shooting, and then I ended up doing that approach automatically. So it was like out of instinct, honestly. I did it due to how I play gunner in base PSO2. So it felt a little weird per se, but I know once I get more grasp with gunner, I'll have a much more better feasible time.
Taking a good look at the night sky here in Alpha, and I don't think that's a moon. I think it's a night sun.
So something else I did bring up in the survey as well. In fact, I might as well just go down the list of what I had here. So I did bring up, me and my tinfoil hat about the lore, the boat leading to the dolls being man-made, the building floating in the sky being the subspace vehicle or subspace vehicle platform. And to that I said, keep up the good job filling the world with lore. Because that's what I'm there for.
Go on.
I also said, brought up the feature missing from the character creator, which is the ability to change the color of the inside of the mouth and the tongue. But I also said, create skins for the Dizorians and Motivian races, and as well as Draconian skin types and features, like add tails and wings that flap instead of showing the photon glide animation. I also brought up the thing about Manon's eyes between her in-game model and the starter artwork, just to verify if that's actually intended or not. Did any of you notice the issue between the Bujin and the veteran Buin?
In terms of what issue were you having in terms between the two?
Typo. One has a J, the other doesn't.
Oh, I actually didn't even notice.
I could have sworn that I noticed one place where they called Aleo Aereo, but I can't remember where I spotted that. It was in some menu.
Because if that's the case, then they need to fix that out, actually, honestly. Did any of you run into the issue with the simple graphics bug, where you select the graphic setting, the simple graphic settings that you want, you save it, it doesn't even register, and even if you go and restart the game and whatnot, it still doesn't register?
Whoa, hold on.
Say that one more time. I sorry.
So when I booted up the game, it recommended me to be at tier 1. I went in game and I changed the option for it to be at tier 5. And I went back and I went to go and check it again. It never ever registered. Even when I went to go and restart the game, and then come back to see, nothing.
Yeah, I had that happen to me as well.
Yeah, I brought that up in my survey, because this was never the case when we was on the Japanese closed beta. Japanese closed beta, it just was fine.
directly east from Central Area across the ocean. Here, and I only noticed this when the sun was setting, or whatever. It appears that there's another continent.
Like outside from the from the main, like
I-
the volcano, the desert, the tundra.
Yeah,
it what?
yeah. Across the
Oh.
ocean, I could see mountains.
I have a feeling it might be just for show. Like that's like the
Well,
part of me is
yeah,
saying.
it's part of the skybox background, but
Yeah.
it's definitely like a possibility that they could make that into something we can travel to.
Maybe.
Okay, there was a
I'm
glitch.
gonna head off now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna head off here. I'll be collecting more of my thoughts over time and be talking about it with Bright probably during our next podcast. Which, Bright, when do you want to make that?
Yeah, we got to figure that out because
Yeah.
we're at 2 weeks here. Are you busy tomorrow at all?
Except for work.
Gotcha. So then,
Mhm.
yeah, we'd probably have to do it next weekend then, I guess.
All right. Make it a big
actually-
long episode then.
Yeah, we'll do it next Sunday because I'm going to be out on Saturday.
Alrighty. That works for me.
All right.
Take care, Zan.
All right. Take care.
Have a good one.
Excellent.
Uh,
That was-
Let's
Okay,
see.
so I was actually
Okay,
mentioning another
actually,
glitch.
I was looking at
Oh,
part
go
of the desert. I was looking at part of the desert now that the fog is a little bit.
I did find the entrance to the desert, and I did find the entrance to the volcano during my time. At the I did take some screenshots. But yeah, they're there. They're all interconnected within the area. So
Okay, but I've seen a glitch where people are falling from the sky. Like other players, they're just falling from the sky, even though they're still technically standing right there. But they just continuously every interval, you'll just see them disappear and fall from the sky. And have you seen NPCs do that? Or not NPCs? I mean, player characters. I mean,
That sounds like an issue
people
whereby the
AFK.
game doesn't. It sounds like the game isn't registering where rather it thinks it's the players up in the sky, but they actually aren't.
And
That-
then it just
that
adjusts. It could be a server lag. It could be like lag or something.
Yeah.
Me and some friends caused an interesting glitch similar to that. Have you noticed that you can push other players around while they're standing in the lobby? But
Yeah, even in
they're-
PSO2.
But they'll actually like teleport back as soon as they move again.
Yeah,
'cause they're
that's
not
very
moving
similar to
off their
PSO2.
own screen.
yeah,
Well-
that's PS2.
People can stand on top of lampposts in the in town, and as an experiment, I got like 8 of my friends to stand on top of the same lamppost and just shove each other off. And so everybody was on their own screen was on top of the lamppost, but because all the players couldn't actually fit on there, there was a constant overflow fountain of players falling off of that lamp.
Oh no.
So, in other words, it just reset their positions to the lamppost and kept knocking each other off.
Yeah, but nobody was falling off themselves
On their screens.
on their screens, so it was just pushing everybody else off.
Okay, working as intended then.
But technically, probably get everybody in the entire lobby.
Let's see. I also brought up whenever we get the conflict with the dolls resolved, that Ark should turn them into a mount, whether it means controlling them from within or riding them on top of them. And then I actually said this earlier in the survey as well, and it became really relevant at the end here. Add a way to turn off chat bubbles. Yeah, with what just happened at the end there, that was really disappointing.
I'll be right back, but I'm gonna go and take a shower. I'll be right back.
All right.
still don't know what they're going to do with ES.
They haven't said anything about service closing, so that's at least a good sign, I guess. Although, actually, I haven't checked that in a while.
Story mode in ES, has it passed?
Check the Twitter real quick.
Where is...
The official site was always confusing on the Japanese side.
Okay, Hero just posted, or from Hero's team, I guess, posted a new tweet on Rappy.comu.
Okay.
A little more until the service in June. Road to a New Genesis campaign now being held. Participate in campaigns and get items that can be handed over to NGS, such as stamps that can be used in NGS accessories with NGS specifications and lobby action QQ. But we already knew this, so.
Yep. He also shouted out the Arcs Hour as well, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. You know something that I just remembered thanks to looking at a screenshot of the Urgent Quest Sky. Doesn't that effect over the sky remind you of the effect the Photoner fleet would have on planets when they would arrive and start messing with stuff? You know, like the simulated planet takeover and the Divide Quest?
I'm not sure. I
Okay.
would need to look at it again.
So the Divide Quests are supposed to be simulations of battles with Photoners. So during the infiltration quest, the skies, when it starts to rain corrosive rain, will take on a similar appearance to what the sky took on during the Urgent Quest.
Yeah, I've heard...
So, I think Google Translate's mistranslating one of the posts about Arcs Hour. He says he's worried about the reaction of overseas arcs. I think it probably is meant to say excited more than worried. I'm not sure. I'll have to look into the Japanese.
Yeah, PSO2S is still going strong. They looks like they did a Weaponoid Party Volume 3 scratch.
Dang.
He said something about Vanford construction. It definitely looked like it was under attack. Because I'm walking there right now. There's giant drop pods.
Or when something went wrong with your... I can barely hear you.
Yeah,
Oh, hold on.
it's not like you're not talking to your microphone.
How's this?
That's better.
Better, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So Vanford, it definitely looks like it was attacked. It was not under construction. It has craters where these things came down from the sky, and there's like burned walls.
Yep, I agree with that. But there are also panels on the ground there that seem like there were more buildings about to go up.
Maybe. Or maybe they tried to rebuild it after the attack and then just gave up.
I mean, based on the opening sequence, apparently it's a hotbed for dolls as well. So
Yeah.
that's one thing they should have done. They should have had dolls show up in the city. They never did.
I did notice that the block list is named after the region, so we might have new blocks for every new region. Like this
Yep,
is the Aleo region.
I saw that as well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's strange that they have both a block transfer as well as a room transfer as well.
Yeah.
Because those rooms
Well,
are
it
not
makes sense.
specific to blocks.
Because you can have multiple rooms in the same block for the same area.
Right, but it's like they're not segmenting
Yeah.
them between the blocks.
Yeah, they're listing all the rooms in the entire game. Well, kinda.
Yep.
I don't think it's all the rooms in the game. I think it's like there's some sort of matchmaking sorting going on. Because that's definitely not the entire player population being shown on the room list.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I even had trouble finding some friends when I was trying to match up rooms. They were in an open room with plenty of room for people to join, but I couldn't get them to appear on the room search for me. But then again, that might be friends list problems. There's been a few glitches like that, like some people on my friends list were online and playing, but they were showing up offline for me, even though I was in the field with them.
That happened earlier with Rooks. I believe Rooks saw Brightstar still online, even though he'd already logged off about like an hour ago, yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I was seeing people offline that were online in the party with me.
The friend. It wasn't just that one time. It was almost all the time. You could not count on the friends list in this game to work right.
Yeah, the UI is not updating with the database in the server.
I guess they had the in-game voice chat disabled. Because it's supposed to be there. They have it in the opening credits, but...
Yeah, it's in the known issues.
Okay.
As well as the UI issues that we were experiencing with like the friends lists. I believe they were more broadly talked about, but anything that involves like looking up the server to see if to check for a player's data or anything, sometimes it will not come up with any results.
Did anyone else get a whole bunch of system messages about Alliance leader status?
Yeah, I saw that when somebody was trying to transfer between blocks.
Yeah, I was getting a lot of "you are no longer the sub leader," and I was like, "Well, I'm not in an alliance here, so I don't know what that's about."
Yeah, I think some of that might have just been translation issues. But I noticed it when Rooks, when you were trying to teleport into the city where I already was. Sometimes those messages would pop up.
I also noticed whenever one of our teammates would one of our party mates would hop in or leave, that the game would freeze up for a good period. But it would never happen. But it would never happen when I was just solo without a party.
I found the entrance to the volcano. It looks like it's a sea bridge, and I'm sure you guys have seen the two maps that were ripped from the game data, the map textures. One's colored and the other one's not. Have you noticed that the terrain is slightly different on both? Like on one, there's a bridge connecting to the volcano. On the other one, there is not. And on some of the islands, the small islands are in different positions on both of those pictures. It makes me think that some things might sink beneath the waves. Like some land might appear there when certain events happen, while other times they might go beneath the ocean.
Well, if the planet's artificial, then that just might be an engine we're looking at there.
Yeah. Because that bridge is there right now. I'm looking at it while the game's offline. I can see the bridge, but I'm wondering if it'll sink under the water at some time. Sometimes.
Could be.
Um,
Or for all we know, Sega might want to do a global warming message and have the sea level rise at some point. Just melt that whole snow area.
I did notice on those two map pictures that there's you can see things that look like the Tower Quest terminals, and one of them is definitely the Tower Quest terminals because we can reference the one that we know exists there. There's other objects that look identical to that you can see on the map in the other regions, and one of them is just out in the ocean, but it's only in one picture. Well, it's in one location in one picture, but then in a completely different location in the other picture, like significantly different, like a whole zone over type of change of location. So it makes me wonder if one of the towers moves.
It could be. Although the in-game description said that there are towers in each region, so I don't know why they would need to move.
That or I don't know. That or it sinks under the ocean while another tower rises up in another location. I wonder if we're going to have the undersea climate troll thing reference from Phantasy Star 2 in that regard. I forget what they call it in the Japanese version. I know climate troll has a completely different name in Japan. It has like an acronym name.
Alright, so I guess overall, if you had to give the beta 1 to 10 score, 10 being highest, what would you give it, Arwen?
10. It's the first beta that I've played without serious server issues making it unplayable on the first day.
I'll agree on that. Definitely as time progressed, things did get progressively worse, and I think that's something that Sega might have to do some rolling reboots until they figure out whatever is causing the memory leak that's going on.
No, it could just be.
I thought that
Actually,
was
they were doing a stress test. They were stressing the servers on purpose, so it was intentional lag.
Okay.
They were running monitoring software to see how the servers are performing under heavy load. So that's the reason why we were having such lag issues and up until close to the end. I'd give it a 9. 9 because there is room to improve. I'm not sure what it's going to be like when they release the other areas, but I am hoping that we'll have more opportunities to get. I feel like the resource nodes need to be either slightly bit more plentiful across, different areas, and not just all in one section of a place. But I mean, of course, we needed like a nice little cache for a daily run through. But I mean, just to like run and I found this over here. That sounds pretty rare. I'd like to see something of that happen. Like, there's tritite, and then they don't in an area that usually it won't spawn. You have that kind of like random, oh, you found some change on the floor. Cool, it's good luck. Gives you a happy feeling. And also adding red boxes. I think we could use a few more red boxes out in the world. But this is just a CBT, so there might be a lot more to obtain later.
Yeah.
I wonder if that elevator's inside the city, because there's some things inside the central building that look like elevators. I wonder if that's how you get to the bridge that's underneath the city.
You know what? I finally stepped inside of one, and it actually has a map of the building inside there. It's definitely an elevator.
Okay.
So, the red boxes kind of remind me of the regional chests from Destiny 2. And those red boxes, some of them people were having difficulty finding over again or weren't responding. I'm just half wondering if that's intentional, if that they were supposed to be one time per account things to find.
They do respawn, but yeah, I think they're account bound. Like you can't just go on another character and hunt the same item this time. They're not gonna be there when you log in on another character. But if you wait like the requisite amount of time, those nodes will come back. And I think it's when I'm assuming it's when when the reset happened. I think the reset probably resets all the boxes.
Was there a reset for today, though? None of the Trinite ever came back for me today.
I don't think any of mine either. I'm not sure.
I don't know for certain if there was a sort of intermittent timer based on the responses and any of the resource nodes that are strewn about the map.
The 3 red boxes that appear in the cave together never came back for me after I broke them once for the entire beta.
Same here.
Maybe they are all on
different
timers.
But I haven't been able to test that.
It sounds like they're all on different timers, and once we figure out those timers, we can actually make a tracker.
I have a feeling that they're tied to the server maintenance, and that they would only come back if the server is brought down and then brought back up again.
One more thing I wish I did test for thought test was are they actually tied to individual instances per like block or per room?
Hey, illegal, you're not coming out very well. Hang on.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yep.
There we go.
I doubt they're per block because I spent the entire beta and never saw those 3 boxes come back, and I went to that room a lot.
Same here.
I wish I thought to test that for and confirm for myself.
Yeah, it's like you're not talking in your microphone there, illegal.
What is this thing?
Might be that headset issue again.
Yeah, it is.
Ugh.
Can you hear me?
Did anyone else notice that some of the pods get shot down out of the sky by some space lasers?
I didn't see it get shot down, but I definitely saw them fall to the ground.
Alright, there we go.
I posted a video of that I think in the general channel. I captured it off of Maximilian Dude's stream.
I think I saw actually get whacked by one of those as it came to the ground and it just killed him.
What, one of the lasers? Or the pods?
Not
the pod.
The pod.
Now,
Oh,
when
my
the server,
gosh. That
when the
thing will kill
server
you?
was under stress test, when the server was under stress test and I had some lag while loading into a new zone, I noticed that sometimes all the possible pod drops will spawn at the same time already on the ground, and then they'll disappear when you load in properly. So I saw downed pods covering the entire area when I walked in once.
Huh. That sounds like some sort of lag at just the right moment. Alright, going back to our scores. Rooks, what do you want to give it?
Based on only what is in the beta, 7 out of 9. I mean 7 out of 10. It's just not complete enough, and if this were to release if Genesis were to release in this state, the game would be dead within a week. It's not. It has, but the potential is very much there, and it's clear that Sega hasn't shown us their full hand yet with what they have ready. It's just when I saw it, the loop could get very boring very fast, and there were still a lot of rough issues with the UI and stuff. Otherwise, I'm kind of bummed that it's down. I can't go back and play right now. So that's the reason I gave it a 7 out of 9. It's not. It still needed a lot of work.
Yep. Yeah, there are rough edges with this right now, and we'll have to see how the launch goes next month. How much they've improved things.
It's rough.
Yeah, it's definitely a space laser. Something's is making these things fall down.
It could be the same thing that put those shields up. We really don't know yet.
It's the
You know-
mags. The mags are our overlords, and they've overthrown us, and now we're inside
A
we're
world
inside of
ruled by mags.
world ruled by mags, the giant mag
no.
overlords.
And then
Actually-
we have giant mag deities that we have to
We have
bring
to feed them to
offerings.
keep them.
bring offerings.
You have to appease them.
You're joking, but actually thinking back, we have seen that before, where the ships
Yeah,
get shot
original.
down.
Oh, I thought you were talking about mag rebellions. There's a whole quest in original PSO where mags got mad at their hunters and then abandoned them.
And they die.
Well, no, I was thinking the opening to Phantasy Star Nova.
Oh yeah.
Oh, opening that up. Forgot about that.
Yeah, you're still not on your microphone there, illegal, or on your headset.
All right. I'm gonna have to switch.
Yeah, so if it's
Alright,
Fantasy
let's
Star
talk
Nova,
about it.
then we're under Machian attack.
That was one of the things that
Because
you brought up the
Machians have lasers that can disable photon drives.
All right, how do I sound now?
that's much better.
Like a professional.
Yeah, I have a spare microphone just in case something gets in the way.
You just moved it away, I think.
Oh, right, I still have to speak into it. It's a HyperX.
Not a very professional microphone user though.
I need more experience using this. Most of the time, when it comes to content, I don't use voice.
Yeah, that sounds like you've got a directional there. If you had like a corduroy mode or an omnidirectional mode, it might be better.
I haven't much experience of actually using or properly mounting this thing.
Speaking
Gotcha.
of which, I'm gonna check out the modes in my Yeti X that I haven't really even touched.
You got a blue Yeti there?
Yeti X.
Oh, Yeti X. Not sure about that one.
Yeah. Okay, how does this one sound? Is this weird? Does it sound a little different?
Sounds a little bit more bassy, actually.
A little bit bassy. How about now?
See, bass is gone.
Anything else? Okay. Which one is that mode? Oh, that's the two circles, inside of each other. I'm not sure what mode that is.
In the game data, all the dolls are called gods.
Yeah, I found that a little weird.
Huh.
But that also sounds that also sounds like the ancients from. Actually, no, the Photoners actually also called their highest members gods as well.
So,
really?
Stereo effect, I
well,
guess, or
There's a
omnidirectional.
specific thing with the photoners. The gods actually refers to the body types that they made that can that can manipulate photons. They made artificial bodies, and then they transferred their consciousness into those bodies. Harriet is a unique case where they never transferred a consciousness in it and just allowed it to develop its own consciousness. But they called all of those bodies that were made for that purpose gods and goddesses, and the photoners that transferred their consciousness into those bodies became known as the gods and goddesses.
They thought highly of those bodies, now didn't they?
But Harriet and Shiva are the two that were consciousnesses that developed within the bodies themselves, and they were still called gods or they were still called goddesses.
So how does this one sound? Is it a little bit better? Is it too stereo-y?
That's sounding fine.
Okay.
But actually, now that
Omnidirectional
I
mode.
think about it, the dolls might be the returning photoners in some like artificial weapon bodies. The photoner spirits in bodies, now that they're called gods.
That's an interesting idea, because technically they did kind of turn into the water of Shion, didn't they?
It's like a Macross. I'm thinking like, I don't know if you guys have seen Macross 7.
Oh
but
yeah, with the spirits, yeah.
The Proto Devlin, they're just inside. They're inside Protoculture weapons. That's what their bodies are. But other than that, they're extra-dimensional spirit-like beings that don't have bodies of their own.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's so much that we still don't know about this game, even though I've at least put at least a few things together in terms of the story.
They gave us absolutely nothing to draw from and from the story in terms of what we could see and then the closed beta. So all we have are just some assumptions to be drawn based on what we see in the world itself, like the camps being here and there, the actual camp itself, the fact that there's even house cats.
All of the names, except for certain names that are definitely like Photoner or Pullman in origin, pretty much all of the place names in Alpha is Hawaiian. It's straight up Hawaiian language.
Interesting.
So if you can find it, I posted a link, I think, with a Hawaiian dictionary where you can look up some of the words. Like the Mount Mahina Pali is Hawaiian for moon cliff. And Aleo is Hawaiian for communication.
Huh. That's a really good thing you locked onto there, then.
Yeah.
Because if you think about what we saw in the trailer in Prologue 3 for the story, you saw those buildings that basically had those antennas above them. It wasn't on top of all the buildings, but most of them seem to have like this antenna on top of them, and that could explain why it's called Aleo Town then. Although why the region is called Aleo, who knows?
And then there's Vanford Research Facility, which does not have a Hawaiian name, but it sounds like a European name. So
England, to be exact, but
yeah. So I'm wondering, are we on a future Earth settlement?
that's what one person was telling me, because there is one thing they know that we both
Because
noticed
this is
within Central
1,000
City.
years later, and we have what would the Earth people be like 1,000 years after PSO2?
RON, have you noticed that there are still like very small but very rudimentary but still house cat models strewn about the city of what was it, Central City?
Oh yeah, yeah. I saw the cats.
Yeah, that might imply that like some sort of Earth-based contact, though, considering that we didn't really see much of any domesticated wildlife amongst the Ark's ship, not to my knowledge.
Now, what if in the future the Earthmen made a galactic civilization and then came into conflict with the Ark?
How would you play that though, considering episode 4 though? Because
Well,
it's
I'm
interesting.
thinking that,
Go ahead.
I'm thinking that the Earthmen Earth would still. I think there might still be faction, just like Kasra in PSO2 at the end in the prologue. They mentioned that there's other factions in arcs. I think the same applies to Earth, and that there might be factions within the controlling Earth government that has all the technology from Mother, that they might actually come into conflict with the Arcs.
That makes sense. I would suspect that the sudden appearance and then disappearance of the continent of Mu and the Yggdrasil tree many times over on the planet would cause several endless tidal waves that would have destroyed many towns and could.
Well, I think of it this way: the Earth people, they just stepped into this realm of technology, and they're approaching an equivalent level of technology as the Arcs have. And the Arcs is not exactly unified with their government. So now it's like two competing superpowers over the galaxy. That's the way I'm thinking of it.
You know, I just thought of something. How is it that the Petasword was, or the Urgent Quest boss was able to change its weapon mid-fight?
That is fair.
Is it
photons?
Photons or ether?
Well,
yeah, technically they're about the same thing, but yeah, you're talking about the math. You're talking about the embodiment thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually going about that earlier when I was thinking about the Gigantics and how it appears.
Germ from PSO episode 3.
But yeah, I was thinking about when the Gigantics appears, and it's like, it appears in weather. I'm thinking maybe I don't know, maybe it's a hybrid of photons and ether. Because photons reacting with the weather and ether reacting with emotions. I don't know.
We've already seen stuff like forget what the flowers are called in episode 5.
The
ephemera.
flowers.
Ephemera.
Yeah, so like ephemera is a combination of ether and E factor. So we know that the different flavors of protonish things can mix together.
Well, here's the thing: ether is technically photons. Basically,
Yeah, they're
right?
mutated photons,
more or less.
Yeah.
Not even mutated. It's more like it's more like they were repurposed. Like Xion's photons
It's
were
Mother's unique way of using photons.
basically, yes, they were repurposed by Mother for a specific purpose. But what we've seen is that like the photons in her photons are basically organized for communication and communication of ideas, basically.
Yeah, and now we have the area region that's named in Hawaiian after communication, which happens to be an Earth language.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of ties to Earth. A little too much to just like be a
And
reference.
then there's Phantasy Star Outside Saga, which I'm translating right now, and it has what appears to be subspace travel and also multiple factions of Earthmen that are fighting against each other.
Wait, Fantasy Star Outside Saga? Is that what is that connected to?
It's a manga from the early 90s that is the classic Phantasy Star way before PSO originated.
So where in the timeline would that series fall though?
It takes place immediately after Phantasy Star 1, and it has Elisa and Lutz, and they have a malfunction of their starship's jump drive, which causes them to arrive at a planet that's inhabited by people from Earth. And in the third chapter, they're pretty blatant about it, and they talk about how Earth was... they don't mention Earth by name, but they talk about how their homeworld was messed up and how they've migrated here. But then another faction of Earthmen followed them there, and now they're fighting for their freedom, while the other faction of Earthmen is trying to establish a dictatorship. And also, one faction of the Earthmen is hunting down Elisa because they want to get her ship's jump drive technology.
Well, if it happened right after Phantasy Star took place, that it wasn't that far into the future that she went into Copto, I think.
She's also the queen of Algol. Lutz calls her that on the first page of the first chapter when they're boarding the ship. She yawns while they're in public, and then Lutz gets onto her about that. Calls her immodest and says that how immodest, the queen of Algol being seen yawning in public. That's what he said.
How unbecoming. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. And
she's a queen. She can do whatever she wants.
Yeah. Well, before, people thought that Outside Saga was some alternate story where she didn't become queen, but then the first page, when you actually translate it, it completely, like, establishes that she is queen.
Has anyone
how
wrote
she ended up on Copto then?
Has anyone rode the reindeer?
We have a date for when it takes place. Copto takes place after she gets back from this other one by several, I think about 100 years actually, because she was in cryosleep for a while.
Gotcha.
On Copto. Yeah, this takes, Outside Saga takes place only like 3 or 5 years after Star 1.
Gotcha. Radix, you were saying?
Oh, has anyone rode the reindeer? Just like sat on it for a little bit?
Yeah, I did.
It is great. It's a thinking mount, is what I like to call it.
Yeah, I sat down on mine, and unfortunately another player came by and killed it while I was sitting.
I killed any wildlife on site. I need the resources. The resources ain't gonna go themselves.
Repeat was all like, "Oh my god, it's coming right for us!"
Freaking proceeds to reload TMGs and just blast them. I need the food. What do you expect me to do?
I always made a sad face every time someone shot the mount that I was sitting on.
It was coming right for them.
Right? Coming right for them.
Speaking of Ryubichu, what score do you want to give the beta?
Ooh! Oh man, I would say 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10, because I can't say 9 or 9.5 because of the fact that there are still some stuff from the second closed beta that they have never addressed, which leads me to assume either one, this is the same build that the second closed beta for JP has, where there are still bugs such as chain trigger not displaying all the time. Well, given the fact I had to add a different computer at the time, I can't say much for the graphics because it's much more smoother now than I had back then. Let me see. What else?
I think I can
Materials
confirm
need to
that
work.
actually. The version number. I think there's only a single digit difference between them, and if anything, I would say this was probably just them testing the English translation.
Yeah, that's basically it. I would say, like, hence why I'm like, the build is just kind of like more or less the same build that we got. There's not much of a difference. The one I noticed a difference in is material spawn rates, because I felt like you gather more materials on the JP closed beta a bit more than the global version. The global version, the time it takes for you to get the materials is abysmal. Like the spawn rates for the materials is abysmal. I didn't even get a chance to upgrade my pot from level 1 to level 2 because I was spending most times trying to look for the materials needed because they would not respawn.
Yep, I had that happen with the photon chunks. I could not get enough by the end to get my third potential level.
Yeah, so they need to fix that. This was not much of a case in on the JP server. They'll come back up every now and then, but it wasn't to the extent where there have just been times where it'll just last for like the entire beta, not coming back. They need to fix that because since they made that an important part of the game, where you need to go out of your way to go and upgrade your equipment for you to get up to higher content, they need to fix that. People are just gonna like not play anymore if they can't get the materials that they need. So, combat needs a bit more refining. Animation cancellation, I can't stress that enough. That needs to be addressed. And I know Sega said that they're gonna address the thing. I will have to see it when the game actually comes out because I didn't see any issue. I didn't see the change from here. Let's see what else. Graphical bugs needs to be addressed. Like transitioning from one sector to another, I get like a huge performance hit. Like my performance will hit drastically.
Same
Question,
here.
Question: Did you have party members with you? Even not,
Most of the time I was by myself and I still had that issue.
I got the worst hit with performance when I had party members. It doesn't even happen. Didn't even have to be nearby or ready or registered. It just had to be on the side where the game looking for those players.
Yeah. So it's even it is worse when you're in a party or just in like a full party. The performance hit is even worse. So they need optimization for that. I think the game does have an optimization issue. Personally, that they need to fix, or unless they've already fixed it, then okay. Fixing is fun. I don't have to worry too much about losing the materials. Losing the capsules because I could just either go to the player shop or I could just go back out and just farm again. I don't have to worry. I could just brute force it, unlike PSO2. I would say if all those issues have been rectified, by the time the game comes out, I will give it like a 9.5. I can't give it a 10 out of 10 yet until something else, unless they surprise us with something. Right now, I'll say it's an 8. 8 out of 10.
All right. And Legal, did you want to give it a score as well?
To be honest, I'd give it a 7. And my reasoning for that would be somewhat similar to Ryu Pichu. The thing though that really hurts the game for me is the fact that we're only a month away from a final official release with many of these issues still present, which doesn't leave the developers a lot of time to fix and iron them all out, considering the current build we have. But for the most part, I'm still going to remain focused entirely on the gameplay itself, and the gameplay has a lot of unique and interesting ideas to help spice things up. Many of the classes all have a particular sense of flow that makes them a lot less clumsy to play as compared to their original counterparts. And the battle power, that battle power seems a little bit of a straightforward idea, but I really do like the idea of a battle power being an aggregate score of the players' affixes, their skills, their overall equipment, and thus encouraging them to improve, and go out to explore the world as they see fit. That being said, the drop rates, I have not really been able to really determine for myself whether they are affected by whether or not the players are present between blocks. Though I do notice that the mob spawn rate can be a little iffy. I've run into some trials where, or at least emergency trials, where there's supposed to be a mob there, but the mob is either like somewhere very far away from where the original trial is at, or it's not actually present at all. And sometimes the mobs actually disappear, so that might have to do with something on the server side influencing the mob's behavior.
So, may I make a comment about the current build?
You may.
Okay. I'm just going to... So, since it's... Alright. When they do these closed betas, they're usually not bringing us the full game at the time. I mean, in all likelihood, the version we're playing is possibly several months old already. That they just modified to fit to the
with updated fixes and such. I mean, as needed.
They had Thank you. They had the Xbox integration, even though it was bad. They were doing a test. They were having like a test version of the Xbox integration in there and other things. But I'm pretty sure this build is basically what. Even when that other beta came out one of the last Japanese beta, I'm almost certain that old Japanese beta was still possibly a couple months old because they were just using something that was already there, and they didn't have to risk having other things leak out through the beta. So I think when we get it, we're going to see a far more completed game. That's why I keep on saying it's like Sega's probably not showing us their complete hand yet.
Although I do think showing a little bit more would allow them to get more accurate feedback, which is what they need, and that's kind of why the closed beta exists in order to get that feedback, so they know where the bugs are and what to change and what to fix.
Right. It's just I was assuming that they was gonna, have the stuff fixed. I understand it's an older build, but with all the stuff that they had addressed, I would assume they would have gotten the stuff sorted out already.
Well, I think the other thing to keep in mind is Sega is likely known for some time that there are data miners for the game, and we know that they changed like the ice version on there and things like that. So they were probably cautious in what they actually put into the assets of the game. They probably put just enough to, make it seem like the world was there, even though there may be further areas beyond that desert area that we haven't seen. They're already in whatever the released build is going to be, potentially. We just
can't go to
the data
them.
Miners haven't. Say again?
We can't go to them. They have likely found some sort of way to ensure these assets of the data within the beta itself cannot actually be accessed. On top of playing in the game, you can't access those areas, even if they're dummied out.
People have already done so. That's the thing. People have already taken up the assets and have access to them. Hell, people already made a private service from the closed beta itself.
Right, there's a
Private servers.
Someone made a private server just for them to test out some kinks and whatnot during the
there's a private server.
Yeah, there's a private server. Yeah.
The data
So-
miners use it.
Yeah, the data miners use it to put in the assets that they've gotten from the closed beta. Whatever that they could pick, they could scoop up. So they're accessible. It took them time for them to create a new system for them to get the new ICE files.
Yep.
They've been prepping it up since the graphical update was announced.
So that's how the fleet community gets that stuff ready,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I've got something to show y'all. Let me.
Awesome.
That
get
being
back
said,
to
I can't
this
wait to
one.
see the finished version of the game, though, especially considering that the game has a lot of potential, especially, again, the class design. Many of the base classes are really fun to play now.
And we didn't even see the weapons.
Alright, let's see.
I just posted a translation from the first 2 pages of Chapter 3 of Outside Saga.
Oh my god.
So a long time ago, our ancestors lost their home planet, and after a long drift, they arrived on the immigratable planet Rydus about 200 years ago. Yes, 18 years ago, they suddenly appeared in this region, another fleet of starships that had escaped from our home planet, just like us, and we welcomed the reunion with our people with open arms. But the Imperial Guard launched an invasion with overwhelming force, and because we were careless, they conquered a third of the planet and lost half its population. Now that the balance of power has been restored, there are no major battles, but there are still local battles here and there. And then 3 days ago, your spaceship suddenly flew into the Imperial Air Defense Shield using hyperspace navigation methods that even they haven't developed yet. The Imperials are after you and your technology, and I'm sure Ridmer would like nothing better than to prevent such incredible technology from falling into the enemy hands. Interesting.
Now, that's one of the locals talking to Elisa. But Ridmer is the leader of planet Rhydos. And yeah, apparently some other people from Earth. And they are Earthmen because they confirmed it in the other book that I have called Fanta, which is a fan book that did some interviews with the original developers, and they mentioned that the people in Outside Saga were Earthmen.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah, so
this
even-
is Earthmen before they discovered Algol.
Gotcha. So then, one of these two groups. Well, I don't know. Maybe it was one of these two groups, or were there other factions beyond these two?
Well, we don't know. Just in Outside Saga, there's just 2 groups, but they mentioned that that a bunch of fleets left Earth when Earth was falling apart. So that's why they were like, "Oh, another surviving fleet found us. Let's welcome them with open arms."
Gotcha.
I will return shortly.
Okay. I have to
So,
ask in that case, then, if one of these two potentially was carrying Pandora's box with them.
Maybe, but
Oh.
yeah. Based off of this, and then some other information, like if you read the World of Fantasy Star book, there's another art book called The World of Fantasy Star, and it has a lot of information about Fantasy Star 2 in it with character bios. You can find out that pretty much the entire main cast of Fantasy Star 2 has Earthmen ancestry.
Yep, I think Hugh was German. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, they mention all their ancestral nationalities, and only Eustace. Only Eustace is a pure Algo, is pure Paulman.
And that would make sense since he was technically part of the royal family.
Yeah. And then there's other little indications of there's that there's other Earthmen that have been in Algol, like in the text adventures. There's a Chinese restaurant that's and distinct references to Earth nationality stuff.
So basically, Algol has been intertwined with Earth for a very long time.
Yeah. The first for hundreds of years, like before the starship Noah arrived, there was already some contact with Earthmen, but of different factions. So apparently, only the starship Noah Earthmen are the people that worship Dark Falls as a god or whatever. Or rather, they don't worship Dark Falls as a god, because I actually translated the Japanese text of that part of the game. They believe that they've suppressed Dark Falls and that they have control over it. That's they believe that they've overpowered Dark Falls. They're controlling Dark Falls when really it's controlling.
And of course, the reason they have a Dark Falls in the first place is because the Elisa 3 landed on Earth in that one ending.
In one of the parallel subspace timelines. But because they mentioned hyperspace drive, it makes me wonder if Elisa's drive malfunction that allowed her to encounter these Earthmen might be the first instance of subspace travel in the series.
It's possible, but we really don't have much to go on there. We know that before that, her ship was the Landale, which that got left under the town of Tylon on Dizorus.
And she's not on her own ship in the Outside Saga. She's boarding some other transport that was being tested.
So I have to ask, why would a queen risk their life to test a fast ship?
Well,
curiosity.
Curiosity, but still.
Okay.
Why would Rutsu allow her to do that? That's the better question.
Okay, at the beginning of Chapter 1, they are on Motavia for a secret meeting. Well, actually, they're not clear as to whether they're on Motavia or Desolus, but they're somewhere other than Palma. And they're boarding a ship to return to Palma, and it's a secret. So they're trying to get into some high-tech stealth ship or something that can travel between the planets without being noticed. Because apparently there's other factions within the Palman government that are anti-Landell. They're basically holdovers from Lashik. They're Lashik loyalists.
Lashik, right.
That's right. There's some Lashik loyalists that they're hiding from, and they're still trying to do political maneuvers to overcome the Lashik loyalists and take control of the kingdom, the whole government properly.
More than likely, they were Falls influenced.
So they're going to secret meetings on different planets using some high-tech stealth ships, and it's one of those ships that malfunctioned. Supposedly because one of the Lashik loyalists sabotaged it. But that's how they ended up subspace traveling or hyperspace traveling, ending up on planet Rhydos.
A ship being sabotaged and forced to get into a crash landing? Where have we heard that one before?
I know.
I believe that thing landed on a temple on Dizolus.
Yeah. There's also the entire event of Phantasy Star Portable 2 Infinity event in PSO2.
Yep. Yeah, and if anything, I think that's probably the entry point where that subspace vehicle, or they never clarified that in Phantasy Star Portable 2. If that thing that we saw in that image, if it was the subspace vehicle itself, or if it was the subspace vehicle platform, the launch platform. In either case, it's
Isn't there
the thing looks almost exactly
where
this.
it activates the portal and it uses the fins on its side to open the portal to jump through subspace? I could have sworn I saw an animation play where it did something like that.
I
think
maybe I'm.
there's a video of it. There should be a video of it on YouTube somewhere. It's going to take me a bit to dig up though.
Okay.
I might be misremembering a cutscene storage dead.
Same here. I don't remember that. I don't remember seeing that at all, but it's possible. Yeah. I guess while Rooks is looking that up, let me just kind of give my score here. I'm giving it an 8 here, 8 out of 10. To everybody's points here, yeah, there are definitely some rough edges. Plus, I've got my thing with there not being a good gap closer for Hunter, especially because in that particular case, I would have to take Hunter Tector when Tector really doesn't have much to give to Hunter except for techniques. And that gap closer, I guess. But everything else seemed to be locked to main class.
Wait a minute, hunters don't have guilty break?
No, they don't.
Oh,
They've got this like Nova Strike ability it gives you some extra distance now, but it's still not fast enough to catch up to enemies.
Yeah.
I would say they definitely need to do something about the load in between areas. It's very, very obvious when you load into an area that there is something
hard.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. I wanted to mention that during my assessment.
Yeah, it's like they're not preloading stuff in the next area for some reason.
Feels like everything even in the instances all over are being running all at once, and it's really dragging down the game's like own memory use, and that's what's causing many of the issues. That's just my hunch.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you there. But what does prop it up is the fact I do love what's happening with the lore in the game, the fact that the world does seem to be filled with this lore. And there's a lot that we still don't know at this point. We don't know what caused this world to get this circuitry in the ground and things like that. If it is actually an artificial planet, or if it's a Xi'an-like planet. If it's what is going on with those. Hey, Wolfric. What is going on with those other buildings that we saw that weren't cocoons? And the Tower Quest. Yeah, there's still a whole bunch of unanswered questions. I'm sure as time goes on, we're going to get answers to those. So that I do like. I still say the world looks a little too much like it could easily have a battle bus pass overhead, and that makes me fearful that there's going to be a Battle Royale 100-man mode for PvP in the game.
Oh no.
Oh, I know they joked about this like in early
Final
like
Fantasy just did it.
Fortnite collab incoming when?
No. No.
We're still waiting on our Halo collab at this point.
Yeah, Japan got interested in Battle Royale all of a sudden, so Final Fantasy's on board with that.
I know they joked about it in the past. I know the developers that joked about, oh, PS2 will have the Battle Royale, but I don't know.
Yeah, I just came back. I'll be right back one more time. Get some water.
All right.
It's already getting late for me. I need to sleep. Thank you, stream, and thank you, PrinceBrightstar.
Yep.
I was thinking that Vanford
see you guys,
Research
everyone.
Facility is such a small area, it might be a big deal.
Say again, Arwen?
Vanford Research Facility is such a small area, it might be a PvP zone.
It could be if you had like maybe 3 players on each side.
Because you can literally like see both ends of it. It's like a room, but got its own zone for some reason, so
Yep.
it's tiny.
I would also say they got to do some more work actually with the sympathy system in the game. The music just keeps cutting out for some reason. I don't know if any of you noticed that or not.
Happened to me a few times.
I might have not really took too close a note of that, or the music mixing.
I
Gotcha.
haven't had some of my music turned down most of the time to listen when I was in voice text, so I didn't notice anything.
Gotcha.
Then guess we're talking beta.
Yep.
Yeah, we are.
Nice.
But yeah, those are plus. I do like at least the concept of the cocoons and the tower quests to get your skill points rather than just simply getting them through leveling up. I think that's actually something that's a really unique idea that I don't know if many other games have actually tried that before in terms of helping you
Breath of
open
the
up your skill
Wild.
tree.
I'm sorry, I can't find it.
Although Breath of the Wild doesn't really tie skill points, it's so much Link's health container and stamina pickups. But still, it's I mean, it's not unique, but it's still a very good design concept, and I can applaud New Genesis for it because it encourages exploration in order for these players to get more skill points to get stronger.
Yep. So yeah, I think the game is doing a lot of good stuff, but there are some weak points that do need to be patched up, and hopefully they'll have those ready in time for launch.
Yeah, during that last UQ, oof, that was bad.
Yeah, and with the lag you're talking about?
Yeah. It was like...
So they were stress testing the servers at the time, so that kind of made sense. Although, I will also say, when fighting that boss, there are some severe frame drops in there.
Actually, there is something I noticed. So sometimes when I'm playing, and I don't think this is screen tear, sometimes my screen would get wavy and everything would just displace and everything. Like, you know how a flashback in cartoons work is like that wave effect? Something similar to that happens.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know
Do
if
you
it's part
have
of the game.
Do you have motion blur off? Because
Yeah.
a lot of people don't like that.
I don't. No, like, it's even when I'm just standing still or something.
Ooh.
Are you talking about the dithering?
Where everything looks like it's just placing and is wavy.
Not wavy, but it's like little dots inside of dots or circles.
Like my entire screen.
Oh, your entire screen was doing that.
Yeah, sometimes I would see it would like move and displace, like it was
Oh, there were some effects that were like that. I can't remember
Yeah.
what actually triggered them, but there were some actual effects that would actually cause your screen to kind of go misshapen for a moment, but then it would fix itself.
yeah, like I don't know if that's part of actual combat or like an actual glitch, but it's kind of annoying. If you know what's causing it.
I think it was just battle effects.
Yeah, but that can be so taking out of the battle, you know?
Maybe.
You know what? I think there needs to be a manual zoom. Because
I agree.
The auto
yeah.
zoom thing kind of, I mean, it can throw you off. I'm like, oh, why zoom so much now?
Why is it zooming out without my permission?
Because, you know, if there's a boss nearby, that's why. Or
I
there's a trial.
That really wide angle that they give you on against the dog boss, I would love to be able to just use that camera the whole game.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be great. It'd be like Final Fantasy 14.
Yep. Against the Wulon, it's just way too close to your character.
Yeah, they need to give us some flexibility when it comes to controlling our zoom level.
Yep.
I mean, we got plus and minus, but that's not enough. Well, I guess plus and minus can be enough. I mean, if you press minus enough, I think you go out far enough where it's like it's decent. But I don't like the auto control where you go near a boss spawn or near a boss trial or a boss, and then no, just even a boss like a veteran would appear, and you would zoom out the camera.
Yeah.
It's just rather annoying.
Speaking of veterans, in the lower level areas, I noticed they appear. Even though like I had a higher level character with good equipment, augments, it would take a while with a bunch of, since a lot of lower players would be countering it, just to fight it.
Yeah, the HP scaling for many of the veteran level mobs is still kind of wonky.
Okay, so this is
combat-
what they need to do to fix this. This is like an easy fix. All I got to do is raise the level. Okay, so I'm assuming they're going to raise. I'm hoping they raise the level of the level 10 veterans to 15 or more, while in the higher area, in the level 10 areas, while they keep the original area the same.
I was fighting a veteran Hyrule sword or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Those big sword
Yeah,
guys.
Untitled sword. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're same level as the ones you would find in the combat zone. But the combat zones take very much a shorter time. I mean, to be fair, we usually have.
That where you are is also a combat zone, but it's but like you said, you have a lot. I mean, you can have up to 32 people, but they're likely to be lower levels. So they're not going to they're not likely to fight something like that because
So why would you add that there in a lower level area?
you can bring higher level players in the area just to make it look cooler. I mean, it's kind of like for appeal factor. Look at all these big, these higher level players coming in and wiping this thing. It's kind of like for show and inspiration. These lower guys see these big guys. They take down this monster, and then you're like, oh man, can't wait to do this. Kind of like advertising in a way. For being a higher level.
The problem is that it's way too reliant on those specific things happening.
And it gives you a reason to go back to those areas, too, when you're a higher level. So, let's say in North Aleo, the veterans are going to be at 15. So, those who are already at level 15 or higher are going to come back to North Aleo and be able to kick butt over there. And then they're just going to be the regular mobs in North Aleo. That's what I'm hoping is going to be the case, because if they scale the levels like that, I mean, I know they're level 10 in North Aleo because of the beta, but I'm hoping that they're going to raise that level for the veterans.
Yeah. Another problem I noticed was the bougie. Oh wait, Arwen, go ahead.
Well, no,
never mind. I'm looking up some.
Okay.
Arwen, I do want to let you know, it sounds like there's like maybe a floppy disk or a hard disk next to your microphone there, because I'm hearing an occasional beeping.
Yeah, I'm clicking my phone. Well, I'm finding some more Hawaiian words.
Aloha.
Gotcha.
So, I don't usually have the problem with the Bujin vibe, but the after image can be very hard to tell when it's attacking, making a lot of the counters near impossible, especially since it has usually delayed attacks.
Yeah, the particle effects are very pronounced, and they kind of they don't have enough transparency to be able to see through it very well.
Yeah,
so I actually understand where you're coming from.
Yeah,
I agree, but I would also say that's kind of part of how it fights. I mean, you think about Ninja, they're about misdirection and things like that. So in that particular case, I could actually see that was actually intentional that they did that.
Yeah, it's a very Japanese thing for them to do.
What I noticed with the problem with that particular fight was, there's usually a lot of players around it. So it's hard to pay attention on just the fight when you're seeing all these different names and animations going on at once. So it's really kind of hard at times to see when to counter, when to back off. there's times I just had to take my rifle and just distance myself from the area to fight.
Gotcha. What would you give as your score for things here, Wolfric?
As they currently are, a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
If you were to polish it, it would be a straight 10. It's a beautiful game. I've enjoyed it. It made me stay up 24 hours just to play it, which that's saying a lot with my tired body and sleeping schedule. The game's just supremely fun. It just needs a lot more polish.
Yep, I think that's the consensus of most of us here.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did think of an interesting theory, considering one of the things I found. The cats? Remember how I was talking about they look like a domestic house cat you find on Earth?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
We
I
were
was
talking
talking to
about that a
Rooks
little
and
bit.
Yeah, I mentioned
Brooks
those.
and
I tried noting those to Arwen as well, exactly what the presence of the house cats even implies for this world. But that's all I could assume.
For me, Earth and Oracle had such a... They grew as bonds enough that some Earthlings are able, with right paperwork and stuff, migrate to Oracle. Because Oracle is such a fast world in space that, and with the population problem with Earth and stuff plausibly happening, they need more space, so they have people who can migrate here. Especially ones who could use Aether, since Aether essentially is photons. So there's a chance possibility some NPCs are actually descendants of Earthlings and everything. Or people who are still coming Earth, like there's probably like an emissary in Oracle now.
I could see that happening.
And this part of it is they brought a lot of animals. Because there are things like service animals or stuff you might keep from your home planet. Or introduce an entire new species to a different environment.
That's one of the things I kind of noticed that was weird, was that apparently the Oracle, the Arcs reintroduced a whole bunch of native creatures from Nibirius over to Helfa. It's just kind of like they just introduced all these creatures to a completely new ecosystem, and surprised they aren't having a big crash there.
Or even just a lot of connection issues, since a lot of betas or even just like launch days tend to have those problems.
Yep.
I mean, ecological crash.
To your point, Wolfric, this is kind of just a weird thought here, but I kind of have to wonder what Pietro did when he saw the Earthlings coming aboard with pets.
He's like, oh my god, they're adorable because dogs and cats are awesome.
Yep.
But this could also lead credibility to the theory that the world's artificial, created so Oracle and Earth can be cohabit something more easily, more migratable.
I just like to see Pietro's first handling of a cat and the claw on his face.
Every day you would just see him scratch as hell. It's like,
oh yeah,
this is the life I chose. I don't like it, but I stand by it.
Or possibly to turn the joke, to turn the joke on its head. We actually find a pet that doesn't actually torture him.
Actually, this could lead to an interesting side story. Who's the other summoner part of Oracle? He's actually part of the anime series? Yeah. He would have more experience with these animals. So
Hey
they
guys, look
could,
at
like...
this link I just posted. There's your definition for Aleo.
To scream,
From the Hawaiian
land section.
Gentlemen, is greasy ass form too much? voice text.
Oh, that is an interesting choice of nomenclature. Hey, we're coming a long way from our class naming conventions, where one of our classes is given a French name for star for a reason.
Yeah, I found another mention that alio is used to refer to talking.
I general's voice text.
For instance, there's the word for fight. And this is not in the dictionary, but I saw it mentioned in another book talking about Hawaiian language. Where did I post it? I was going to read with it.
Now that you brought up Toa, they did mention is like, okay, it's a name that means star, implying
I'll be right back.
they
guys.
have an understanding of different languages at that point from Earth.
Okay, so alio doesn't really mean anything on its own a lot of the time, and but there's a word called kua'a, which means to fight. But if you say alio kua'a to somebody, that's how you say let's talk. So going by that other dictionary, apparently alio is screaming. So I guess a screaming fight is to let's have an argument, maybe?
Or talk politics.
Yeah, maybe that's how
Maybe.
that's translated.
Sorry. It just felt too perfect for that joke.
And then the ha'alio is just another word for talking. And then elio is the word for a dog, and it's also the word that the Hawaiians use for clouds, because they believe dogs to be noble creatures, and they envisioned the clouds as dogs wandering across the sky.
Well, that makes sense because there is that pet that looks like a unicorn mixed with a dog, got a fluffy cloud-like fur.
Mm-hmm.
So that would make sense. She did act majestic, even.
But that's some stuff that I found while I was trying to find out what alio could mean.
I guess we'll have to see what it actually does play out to when the time comes. But yeah, I think we had, aside from some of the side stuff there, I think we had a decent conversation here about kind of what we're hoping gets fixed, what we liked about the beta, and things like that. So it's, I think we covered pretty much most of it. Does anybody have any final thoughts here before I wrap up the stream?
I liked the veteran encounters a lot. I just wish there was a little more warning to some of them, especially like the Bujin and the sword one, because those ones can be extremely dangerous if not handled correctly enough.
Well, the sword one is actually pretty obvious. If it starts to like thunder rain, it's showing up.
No, that one's the hopeless version. I'm talking about the veteran one.
Oh yeah, that's also right. I've also seen a mob where if the weather changes and players are still engaged with it, the mob just straight up disappears.
Yeah,
That's hopeless.
Yeah, it's a limited time battle, and you have to kill it before it disappears.
Nobody knew about it. It just kind of vanished.
But the other thing I would say is, actually, the places where these dread enemies are showing up, they're actually in a set location, for the most part, where they spawn. It's only going to be, like, in your initial exploration of areas that you might accidentally run into one of them, but I'm sure eventually people are going to create maps of where all the different encounters are going to be.
Hopefully. Like I said, 7.5 out of 10. Just needs a lot more polish, and it'll be near perfect for me.
Yep. Anyone else?
It was fun playing with you guys.
It was. Oh,
Yep.
God, we have 2 Arwins. It's Arwen Apocalypse.
Reveal yourself, doppelganger.
I believe this is Arwen's alternate account.
Emergency code clone.
Yeah, I'm still gonna see if I can figure out how to get the Nova version in emergency code Gigantes, because that's how it is in Nova rather than in well, actually they don't even say the that it's
It's the emergency
Gigantics.
codes. I meant to say emergency codes.
They did have a weird way of saying a lot of the words, though, in those things.
That was part of the charm.
Capture. It's like, what are you saying? I can't read.
Was
Yeah,
it the same
big-
voice
big-
actor?
Most of the time, yeah.
Was
Be
it?
glad you. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you're good.
Be glad you never heard negotiation.
Negotiate. Oh, God, I have.
That was an unused voice clip, and I think that was the first version of gesture.
Yeah, I heard the gesture one. It's, oh, God,
Gesture.
that emergency code was a nightmare for me, of how stupid it was.
Just match the emote.
No,
And
it's
they-
we're fighting these things that are spawning out of nowhere. I have no time to emote you.
Well,
Can
yeah,
you
kill those
imagine
enemies
that-
first?
Oh
Can
yeah,
you
there's
imagine
also
that
one
showing
more
up in-
thing I wanted to talk about.
Mhm.
I would say that technically I wanted to talk about the inventory system, but also the new augmentation system. The augmentation system, I mean, well, it's not really a stretch to say, yes, it's better than base PSO2. Everybody, we don't really need to go into that. But I do really like the idea that it has, is because all you need to do is just gather capsules while fighting out in the wild. You can fight either in cocoons, towers, anywhere else. You get these capsules, and they do take up space in your inventory. Which is, I'm wondering exactly what the default inventory size is gonna be for the full release of the game, since in New Genesis so far all the players are given 100 slots to start with in terms of their inventory space. And there's also the fact that while you can put all those items into material storage doesn't really work at that, or at least hasn't been programmed to work as it currently does function within base PSO2. You still need star gems in order to use it for at least 1 month, so there's still that.
I also have to wonder what Premium's gonna do.
Yeah, I'm also wondering what bonuses it's going to confer. The battle power does actually factor which abilities are on your units and which ones, and there's also being able to upslot is actually tied to your unit's grind level. I think, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And
Yep, that is
they
right.
all use the same grinders as opposed to base PSO2, which even 13-star units still use regular grinders in order to enhance their defense level. Whereas all the weapons use lambda grinders from that point onward.
Well, we also only have up to 3-star at this point, so they might make a return in a couple years.
Yeah, more than likely. The weapons themselves do have potentials, but the potentials are unlocked using a different resource rather than all using photon spheres or some weapons actually used ultimate boosters for their ultimate potentials. But then the later series weapons obsoleted those weapons in base PSO2, but that's not as important as New Genesis right now, because I don't know what the old weapons are going to be in New Genesis. It's likely they'll still be usable to some extent, but they're likely going to be phased out in favor of what the players can acquire in New Genesis. Not to mention, I can't really assume that they're all compatible with the multi-weapon system, which is also an item lab feature. And I don't think many people have mentioned exactly how
potentially amazing that actually could be, because if the weapons are in the same series and you put them and you merge them together, this means you can actually use those weapons and their photon arts in tandem with each other without having to switch weapons.
Yep.
Speaking of multi-weapons, there is something with like. So I remember in PSU, you can hold a gun and a sword. If you did that with twin machine guns and a sword, you just get a gun and a sword to hold.
Does my microphone work again?
It does, but it's very quiet.
Yeah, let me turn you up if I can. Alright, I got you at 200%.
I think this is the best I can do because I don't think Discord likes Xbox microphones.
No, it doesn't.
There's a lot of things Discord doesn't like.
Discord doesn't like mobile devices either.
Yep, why do they even put out an app for that thing?
And there's times it just doesn't like me.
Well, that's what I use. I use the Discord mobile app most of the time. It works fine for me.
I don't like how it plays with Bluetooth devices, where like I have it. Yeah, I have it on my Bluetooth headset, and then it just plays through my phone, regardless of whether I have it connected or not. So I have to disconnect my Bluetooth while I have the app up, then reconnect it, and then it works. It's pretty insane how it's just wonky.
Alright, well, I think before we head down that tangent, let me go ahead and wrap things up here. So, for everybody that tuned in, thank you very much for tuning in. Was a great time with New Genesis, and I will be seeing all of you when it launches in June. We don't know the official date yet. Some people are saying the 9th. I'm actually thinking it's going to be more than likely happening actually the week of the 22nd or the 23rd. But we will see, and I hope that they say something soon, because honestly I want to take that week off for work. But with all that said, thank you for joining me today. This is PrinceBrightstar signing off. I'll catch you next time.